Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Arthur ten Wolde. I am the Executive Director of Ecopreneur, the European Sustainable Business Federation. And I thank the organizers for inviting me to speak on this international online conference, and especially Jan Jonker, who formed the linking pin. Let me try to do the following. This is the first time actually I'm recording using Teams. So what I will try to do now is share my screen with you. And that is done here. Let me see if this works. Yes, I think you see my screen now, and now I'll try to give the presentation the full screen. Yes. So, about Ecopreneur. Ecopreneur is the European Sustainable Business Federation, and it is the political voice for sustainable business in Europe, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises. It is the only cross-sectoral business organization advocating strong sustainability policies at the EU level. It is a business federation, non-for-profit, and the goal is to create a sustainable economy in Europe and beyond. We have a focus on circular economy and sustainable finance, a free newsletter with over 1,000 subscribers. We consist of a director, a policy officer, and a board of 6 directors. And you see also depicted our 6 members in different member states, like MVO Nederland in the Netherlands, but also Ecopreneur Belgium, then also Sweden, Germany, France, and Austria are represented. And altogether we represent over 3,000 companies, mainly SMEs, including the companies listed at the back, Target, Renault, Merz, Interface, Remondis, and Humana, who represent a sounding board group for our advocacy. We're also a proud member of the European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform Coordination Group and of the Green Recovery Alliance that was recently founded by the European Parliament. And we're frequently in Brussels. For instance, early this year, a delegation of Ecopreneur had an inspiring meeting with Diederik Samsom from the Timmermans cabinet. So we represent thousands of ecopreneurs. So this includes about 100 larger companies, but 2,900 SMEs, and they're all dedicated to delivering sustainable products and services. So they are already doing it. These are entrepreneurial and ecological companies. They're profitable and green. They already realize sustainable production, distribution, consumption, and recycling. And they're like regenerative champions that generate positive externalities for the climate and the environment. And it's important these are key to realize the transition to a sustainable economy. For instance, what you see here is Grüne Erde, an Austrian company that produces sustainable mattresses, for instance. You see a completely different company delivering services. So it's not just products, it's also services. Flow2 is a Dutch company which is about sharing services. Then you see Ackerhelden at the left bottom, a German company which rents and sells pre-planted organic vegetable gardens. In Belgium, you see Human, which is a center for startups, for green startups. And then you see a company called Emma, which is producing circular shoes with a materials passport. And so I could give you many more examples with a whole range of products and services. For instance, many cradle-to-cradle products companies are in our membership, but also eco-hotels. It's really very diverse, and we're cross-sectoral, like I already said. Now, what is the experience of our companies? And by the way, these are just 3,000 overall. About 3% of the SMEs in Europe are green frontrunners. And SMEs are key because they represent 99% of European Companies and SMEs, as you know, are a major source of jobs and innovations. So why is it only a minority of 3%? We'll come to that later. But these 3% are successful with sustainable products and services, and they enjoy a range of advantages: more value, innovation and competitiveness, asset management, that's for some companies the reason to go circular, customer loyalty and feedback, partnerships, risk reduction, very important, and motivated staff. So, in what way do we think about circularity and business models? Well, from the start, we've been thinking about circular models along the value cycle. And here you see a drawing of a product or a service and then a full cycle, including also sustainability, which forms also the basis of the circularity check that I will discuss in the next slide. It's about circular design, that's where it all starts. About durability, which can give the largest contribution probably in many cases to circularity, circular procurement and sourcing, etc., etc. And that's only in the first phase of design, procurement, and production. Many of the discussions go about this, but still at the policy level, not sufficient. The second stage, delivery, is insufficiently discussed, but you can do a lot there. We're now experiencing the advantages of online, but you can also do local. You can use electric transportation, which runs on renewable energy. Then you have models in the use phase, product as a service, an access model, sharing, performance-based contracting, a hybrid model. Many of these models are also used and explained in the Circle course that I will explain also. And finally, recovery. Next life sales, take-back management, refurbish, remanufacture, etc. Preferably at a local or European scale, and again, in every stage run on renewable energy. So about the circularity check, this check we launched about a year ago, and it is the first complete strategic scan at the product or service level, which is dedicated for SMEs as an inspiring tool. But it can also be used by other companies. It has several go-no-go questions. How circular are you? It has a life cycle approach, but with about 60 questions for products, less for services. And the outcome is a percentage. How circular are you? And it's also positive in the sense that there are many ways to become circular, and you can play with the answers to your questions to see how you can improve your circularity. Energy and social aspects are included, and also there are links to other scans, such as the one from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and we already have 500 plus users. Now, I already mentioned Circo. Oh, by the way, the circularity check is online available for free at the website of Ecopreneur. But about Circo, part of my time I also work as a trainer for this Dutch program. And if you want to develop circular business models, find yourself a training. The Dutch Circo program has already trained over 500 companies in a 3-day track. And they learn to identify the value that is destroyed in their current linear business model and how to apply 5 to 10 circular models and design strategies towards a circular business case. And 2/3 of the Circle participants are now actively in circular business, rolling out their circular proposition developed in this track. Now, why is this so important? This is so important because we are in a transition from an old regime to a new regime, and this is a graph from Drift. And what you see is that there should be an enormous amount of effort focused on experimentation, acceleration, and emergence of the new regime. But in practice, at this moment, investments and attention and lobbying force is coming from the old regime. So this should go in this direction. The new regime, the startups and the small companies that want to grow are key for the solution. So why isn't this happening? If it's so profitable and you can turn all this destroyed value into new value, what is keeping the SMEs to develop low carbon circular business and grow on and on? Well, first of all, it is a lack of demand pool for low carbon circular products and services. This is the main problem. And that is why the current successful 3%, they are successful because they more or less hacked the system, the linear system, and they found a way to be profitable in spite of this. A second reason is the lack of transparency throughout the value chain. So if you want to buy from your suppliers, they often cannot or will not tell you what exactly is in it. Access to funding, major problem, complexity of circular design, regulatory barriers, lack of price incentives and awareness, etc. Also, the last one, a lack of green business advocacy. You saw that we have 6 members with green business networks, but in the other countries, there's no green business network doing advocacy about policies that would help them forward. These barriers are blocking the growth, and many can be addressed at the national level, but mainstreaming also requires radical EU policy changes. And this is why I come to Ecopreneur recommendations to the European Union, because Ecopreneur was founded 4 years ago because the national green business networks found out that many of the decisions, at least 40%, are taken at the EU level. Well, first of all, we would like an EU green recovery plan. At this moment, trillions of euros are being distributed, and what we want is green strings attached to 100% of the EU budget and state aid. We want also, in this respect, no delay for the EU Green Deal. We welcome the EU Green Deal. Also, we are asking for support for the private sector, including SMEs, but to avoid any lock-in to the old fossil economy or to avoid harming the weakest. Our second recommendation is to implement the EU Circular Economy Action Plan. We welcome this also, but we also would like to integrate 11 key measures that we are currently missing. Well, first of all, what we like about it, for instance, a green public procurement, reuse, repair, a digital data space. Those are elements that we asked for, and they're in. The problem is that we see is that the measures to reach these goals are inadequate to meet these goals. And Corona has shown the vulnerability of our linear economy, and we need to become more resilient to future shocks. So some things we are missing. Extended producer responsibility schemes with eco-modulation of fees. Now, this sounds rather technical, but it means that you make waste-intensive products more expensive than the ones that are circular, and you give a price, you ask a lower fee for the circular products and services. That would help the demand. The second one is circular acceleration houses, helping SMEs and other companies to go green. There are good examples. The best practice is in the Netherlands called the Versnellingshuis, which means acceleration house, with many actions to help SMEs go green. And this, in our opinion, should be replicated in all member states, building on elements that are already there. And a third incentive that we ask is a rapid agreement on 55% or more CO2 emission reduction by 2030, to also have, again, this economic incentive. And there is more. I will not mention them all, but also, for instance, active engagement of green SMEs as frontrunners to create a race to the top. Then, because I would like to round off, we also have recommendations to EU member states. The first two that are listed here are the same as at the EU level, but they have to be implemented in the member states. Also, make a roadmap if you don't already have it. Introduce low VAT rates for instance, repair services. team up with other front-running member states to shift taxes from labor to resources, again to create the demand, and shift away from municipal waste incineration. And this together, if governments would take measures like they've done so rapidly with COVID, then Ecopreneurs can flourish and grow. And what are now SMEs can quickly grow out to new multinationals. And the circular economy can bring enormous wealth to Europe and beyond. So with this, I would like to thank you, and I wish you a good conference. I'll now try to shut down the presentation, and have a good day.